And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break University. It is Lakers History 101, and it is the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. This is Dean of all University Studies, Gerald Glassford, bringing you right back here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast, plus also Game Source and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Catch the latest episode of Inside Sports Fantasy Football today, where we get your podcast, plus also as well, of course, we've got esteemed professors and a great faculty here at LFB University. It is Joe Soro from lakersball. You can see him as Ox 1947 going ahead and giving more dissertations today at lakersball.com. Plus, he has a great gig on the side. It is, of course, SynBlades with a Y.com. Our good friends and also honorary faculty members. That would be Jamie Sweet and the number one Lakers blogger that's out there, Laker Tom. You can go ahead and catch them today at lakerholics.com. Our good friend as well, friend of the university, John McCallion. Go ahead and check out his great streams on the John McCallion channel. And speaking of YouTube, go ahead and subscribe today to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Lakers Stack Pack. Post game, obviously we do post games for Lakers and Team USA games better than anyone else. There's also as well Lakerholic Spotlight, of course, NBA Observations, Lakers History 101, and all the stuff that we do. So go ahead and check it out. But you'll know by going ahead and subscribing to us right here at YouTube. Also as well for you audio listeners, you can also be like Darren, who we truly appreciate being our first audio subscriber. So go ahead and do that today as well, right there for you on Spotify. But it is also as well, when you come down to it, social media and the prospect of everything going on. I know Kobe has been all over social media today on Kobe Day, but please go ahead and check us out wherever you get your social media at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It is a excellent day for us here to remember the great Kobe Bryant here in class as we return to classes here at Lakers Fast Break University. Thanks so much again. We truly appreciate it. Hot yoga is one of the new electives being taught at Lakers Fast Break University. So yes, after today's class here at Lakers History 101, there will be in the gym some hot yoga classes. I do know that one of our esteemed professors, Professor MagicMan Sean Grice, will be personally going ahead and instructing those classes in hot yoga. So please go ahead after this class, head down to the gym at Lakers Fast Break University for your hot yoga classes indeed. But it is Lakers History 101. And for Lakers history, there's no more historic individual in Lakers lore than Kobe Bryant. And today is the day that we do honor him as part of Kobe Bryant Day 824. Truly a tremendous day as we honor the great Kobe Bryant, but also we got word officially, something we already knew and had talked about on the show, that a Kobe Bryant statue is going to be unveiled as a part of the LA Live Crypto.com experience. That will be unveiled in February. It'll be unveiled on February 8th, 2024. How prophetic, as well as far as not only having it on a day where 8 and 24 is involved, but also 2 to honor Gigi Bryant. So just truly a sensational time. It was announced earlier today by Kobe Bryant's widow. So she had obviously was very emotional about it, and it was very emotional to watch it. And I'm just truly thankful that the organization is going ahead and doing that. So they will honor Kobe Bryant with a statue on February 8th of next year. And we'll obviously cover that for you right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It is something that's going to be a tremendous time, absolutely a tremendous time indeed. It is going, again, like Magic Man has said, before the Denver game. So we're looking forward to that as well. But it is Lakers History 101. And why is Kobe Bryant such a historic figure in Lakers lore? That's because he's had so many opportunities, so many outstanding games throughout the course of his career that have just captured our attention as a fan base around the world, as either basketball or Lakers fans. And here today to talk about and discuss the 8 iconic games that we believe solidified the legacy of Kobe Bryant. Good men indeed. They're awesome faculty members of Lakers Fast Break University. And first up, good man is here. He has traveled back and forth from the United States back to Canada. He's the madman for Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic, literally, on his way back from the United States to go ahead and talk about Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant Day. It is a good man indeed. It is the Magic Man, Professor Sean Grice. And Professor, great to have you here. You said in detail you would discuss two of your choices, and we would go ahead, Professor Soro and myself, also elaborate and add on any 2 cents to that as well. So we will give you first shot the two iconic games for you that define the legacy and career of Kobe Bean Bryant.
Thank you very much, Dean Glassford. Appreciate the intro. And I will defer the MSG game to you, Dean, because I had an extra one just in the bank in case somebody went ahead and brought that up. I mean, great minds think alike, but I will defer to Dean Glassford on the MSG performance. Gerald, the two that stand out to me were both very significant. April 14th, 2004,
Mhm,
last day of the season. The Lakers and the Sacramento Kings are tied for first place in the Pacific Division. All
mhm.
the Lakers have to do is win. They win, they win the Pacific Division. They're the number 2 seed. Um, but we're playing in Portland, Gerald. One of the most hostile environments ever for the Los Angeles Lakers. Whether it's the Rose Garden or whatever they call it today, uh, it was um, it was a battle. It was a battle. It was essentially Ruben Patterson versus Kobe Bryant, all game long, and they battled, and the Lakers, outside of Kobe, Gerald, they really struggled that game. I mean, Shaq showed up in OT, but he didn't have his best game that night.
Mhm.
Neither did Devin George. Neither did Slava Medvedenko. It just seemed it was Kobe against Brandon Roy, Ruben Patterson, and the rest of
Did
the
Slava
Blazers.
ever really, quote unquote, show up? I'm just going to say that out loud. There is a
Yeah.
reason why he's a Stephen A. Smith punchline. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. There is.
yeah,
But we'll never forget that twisting and turning he did against
that's
Ruben
true.
Patterson,
Very good.
just trying to find any kind of airspace. Patterson was so close to him, he could probably smell his Old Spice. Uh, Kobe went up, and Gerald, he flings this thing. I don't even think it's going in. I don't think it has a chance. Nothing but net. He's excited. He's going bonkers. The bench goes bonkers. It's 87-87. He has a chance. Now Shaq takes over in OT, the first one. Um, Kobe has a chance to win it at the end of the first OT, Gerald, but he misses. So we go to double OT. Shaq fouls out. And again, um, Kobe just makes this incredible shot over a great defender, Theo Ratliff, who at that time was one of the best defenders in the NBA. Just over him, and it goes in, and we're all screaming because we just won the Pacific Division. We're the number 2 seed. It was an incredible victory. Just showed the kind of metal he has. He shot 14 of 31 from that game, so it wasn't a great shooting night, but didn't matter. It didn't matter. I remember when Bill Simmons was interviewing the great Iceman George Gervin, and he asked him what player he would want to take the last shot, and he said 24. And yes, asked him why, and he goes, because if that man shot 5 of 25, that last one's going in. And sure enough, through thick and thin, he just launches his thing over Theo Ratliff, and all Ratliff can do is watch as it goes in. Game over. We win the Pacific Division. We beat a rival. It was an incredible performance.
I agree with you. Lifted 2000, maybe you could say 99, year that he really started to elevate his game into that level. Once again, it is the Magic Man, Professor Sean Grice, and also here today as well. Good man indeed. You've got to go ahead and check him out at Zox1947 at lakersball.com. And also as well, of course, everything it does for SynBlades. SynBlades with a Y.com. It is Professor Joe Soro. And Professor, we'll get back to Sean's second pick here in a minute. But before we do, you have a game in mind that you think defines Kobe's career.
Yes, it's one, obviously, but this was a little bit more impactful because I was physically there. Mm-hmm. So, for those of you who don't know, there was a minute there where I'm gonna use a comparison to before Jordan won his second championship. There was some buzz that Jordan had a contemporary in Clyde Drexler, and it was even brought up in The Last Dance. And if for those of you who are alive at that time and understanding what was going on, it was a legitimate discussion of, is Clyde, because Portland was really kind of coming into their own a little bit in the early 90s. They made the finals in 90. They got there in 92, which was their best team. And all due respect and rest in peace to Kevin Duckworth. If Kevin Duckworth was Sabonis, that series might have been a little different. So Portland was formidable, and so was Clyde. However, we saw what happened. Jordan pretty much said, whoever even gave this a thought, you should go sell groceries on the freeway, right? So the discussion in 2003, 2004 was who was a better player, Tracy McGrady or Kobe Bryant. Of course, if you're a Laker fan, you're laughing that you're even comparing someone who's already a three-time champion to someone who at that time couldn't even get out of the first round and really didn't until he was a bench player for San Antonio. But Kobe's always had that hate, and this is before Colorado too. So just so you guys know, oh, he has Shaq. Okay, whatever. Anyways, that's not the point of the story. But we'll get to the climax of this. So I'm at Staples. This is March 15th, 2004. I used to go to a game 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. That was kind of my thing. It stopped a little bit in the mid 2010s, and then of course after COVID. But I was pretty dedicated to going at least 3 or 4 games a year, and that was one of them. And I mean, that was the loudest I've ever been at a game. Usually I'm pretty somber, I'm calm. I'll cheer and I'll say a couple things in the bench, but I generally like to not make too much of a ruckus. My voice tends to travel. People are literally sitting right there next to you, and I'm a big guy. Even back then, I was still big. You try to be respectful. However, this night, I made sure after the game was over, I stood behind the basket while they were interviewing Kobe, and I yelled for a good 2 or 3 minutes that mother effer is the best player on the planet. So, for those of you who don't know what game I'm talking about, T-Mac went off in this game in the first half and in the third quarter. He had 32 points going into the fourth, and Orlando was up 15 points. Kobe had the shoulder thing, the shoulder harness, blue harness. He had a torn labrum that we didn't know about at that time, but we found out later. It was a torn labrum due to pump fake and a player landing on his shoulder and jacking it up, right? So he was playing essentially kind of with a bum wing, but you know how Kobe was, right? So T-Mac goes off. Most of his points was coming off Rick Fox. They put Devin George on him, nothing, right? So then they start to slowly get Kobe into the Tracy McGrady circle around the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter. And then once the fourth quarter hit, Kobe took the assignment fully. The Lakers were down 15. Kobe goes on a 24-point run offensively and shuts T-Mac down to 5 points in the fourth and 0 in overtime. And the Lakers win 113-110. It was a defining moment. It's a regular season game that doesn't get talked about enough. I still would have remembered if I wasn't there, but I was fortunate enough to be there. I saw with my own eyes really one of the two greatest two-way players I've ever seen in my life from a perimeter standpoint. Obviously, centers take on a whole different work, centers sit back and play defense. This is perimeter. Perimeter defense is a little different than big guys playing defense. So for me, there's only Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant that I've ever mastered both sides the way they did in that way. Not only was he wasn't guarding Jalen Rose, he was guarding arguably the best scorer on the planet and one of the all-time greats had he had some dedication to his game. Sorry, I had to throw that in there, but it's true. So yeah, that's the game that always pops into my head. I know it's easy to pick the championship games, obviously the 48-16 against Sacramento. A lot of people don't talk about. I know we only had to pick two, and I'm going to pick two that are not obvious, so that you guys can understand how great this guy was. I think it was more of the time and the impact that was going on at that time. I think we didn't pay attention to how fortunate we were at that moment, on why it happened and how it happened. So this was the first one. This was the one that came to my mind. And then I have a second one that's going to be a surprise, but it'll make sense when I explain why this game was the epitome of who Kobe Bryant was and why it's important to his legacy, even though it's a regular season game. Because I strictly picked regular season games. Playoff games are too easy. I wanted to pick regular season games because what Kobe did that very, very few professional athletes can do is make you think about him on a January, February, March day that's not important. He made you go, wait a minute, when are the Lakers playing? Oh, Kobe's playing? Of course he's playing, right? I got to watch this. Well, they're 40 and 40. Well, I mean, who cares? No. You never know with this guy. And we didn't know March 15th, 2004, what was going to happen. And we were fortunate enough to watch and see what greatness was about in terms of basketball.
Once again, it is Lakers History 101 right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It is Gerald Glassford, Dean of University Studies here at the Lakers Fast Break University, along with the esteemed faculty of Professors Grice and Joe Soro. Great to have you here. You just heard MagicMan and Joe Soro's first two selections right there for you. So we have two selections down, 6 more to go. I want to go ahead and read what Laker Nick, and it's another esteemed colleague of ours, Professor Laker Nick, he threw in a couple as well. I asked for his insight on this, and he suggested to us the two games that he was interested in. And we'll start with his number one choice. His number one choice was the Achilles game, where the Achilles popped, unfortunately signaled the closing chapter of his career as far as him being at that level that we were hoping to continue to see him at. But unfortunately, time, Mother Nature, Father Time, they really got to him. And in one game where he, unfortunately, at the end of the, just tore his Achilles in that really, really memorable game. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out for him, but he still was able to get to the line even after he tore his Achilles. Still walked up, hit the 2 free throws, and he worked so hard to get this team to where it needed to be because he didn't have the quality players around him, that he tried so hard and put so much effort, even at his older age. Unfortunately, his body just could not take any longer. and unfortunately, his Achilles tore. But just to have the guts, just to have the sheer guts to walk up to that free throw line, hit 2 clutch free throws, and be able to win the game for the Lakers, just shows you right there. It was against the Golden State Warriors in a tough end of the season 2013 game in April. And I'll tell you what, I remember watching him in that game. I was so sad to see him hurting so much. You knew the pain was as he was grimacing, but he still got up and showed so much toughness, so much resiliency to get to the line, to shoot those, make those free throws. Sean, I'm going to bring you back in here. When you saw him in that game against the Golden State Warriors in April of 2013, come up to the line, make those free throws, and immediately they fouled and had to get him off the court because you knew his season was over. His time was done, and that it was going to probably signal the beginning of the end for Kobe Bryant as a player. Your thoughts, and what was running through your mind when you saw him go up to the line and take those free throws?
Yeah, you know what, Gerald, when he himself was looking at it and knew it wasn't good, and my kind of sunk a little bit. I remember having to get a shot of tequila after that because I kind of knew, and I think a lot of Lakers fans knew, it's not good. It's not good. At best, it's really not good. At worst, it could be devastating. And
he was grimacing just walking.
Walking, yeah. That's not normally like him. So it was very serious. You said it yourself, Gerald. I mean, just the sheer guts. Just that's all it was. It was guts. Sometimes all you need is guts, and sometimes guts is enough. And he just gutted that out, like sheer guts. It was staying present in the moment, knowing that your Achilles is hanging by a thread, and you're still gonna knock these 2 shots down. Just exemplified the Mamba mentality. All 5 pillars.
Lifted says it the best right there. The Achilles game might be his favorite because in those times of need, we show our true character in our toughest battles.
No, it's true. I believe, I think it was Lincoln who said that, most men handle adversity about the same, as well as you can be. How do you handle success? And he handled both the same way, the same mentality. And I agree with Lifted and yourself, Gerald. That exemplified the Mamba mentality through and through.
Joe, what were your thoughts going through your mind when you saw Kobe walking up to the free throw line? You could tell it was going to be it was a very bad foot injury. He still, as Sean was saying, showed the guts to go ahead and still focus enough to get those 2 clutch free throws to secure victory.
The feeling I got was the coffin was bought. The coffin on the career. Now, I know that's eerie to say that considering he's not here anymore, but that's what it was. But much like one of my favorite football player probably ever was Troy Polamalu, we knew it would end badly for him because his play was just too devastating. The human beings are not supposed to do what they did. And Kobe had that same mentality in that he was going to play until he busted. And we finally saw it. So there was some understanding that was how it was going to end. But it was still devastating because through all the BS that year, they were starting to come into their own. I think they were 26-13, the last 39 games. They were coming up and they were going to play the Spurs in the first round. And up until that series, Kobe had pretty much dominated the Spurs since 2004. And it was an end of an era. That's what I felt. I knew it was over. I knew that we know he'll come back. And I kept hearing about Dominique scoring 30 and after busting his Achilles. But then I also thought, first of all, Dominique Wilkins didn't do what Kobe did. He didn't have that kind of career. I looked at it more as Isaiah Thomas busting his Achilles before he finally hung him up. Shaq tore his Achilles before, and then he was done. These guys went all out until that tire blew out. And his tire blew out, and I knew it was done. I knew we weren't going to see anything good after that.
Actually, to note, he did play at one more than one occasion, breaking a finger and still playing. Actually happened at least two notable times as far as 2009, and I believe in the mid 2010s, 2016, I want to say. I think close to the end, he broke a finger as well.
Well, that's another thing that
Go ahead, Sean.
He fractured his ring finger. This, I believe, Gerald, the second title year, so that'd be 09, 010. Okay. Yeah.
And that one I know, and they did again in the mid 2010s.
Yes, he did, and he said he had no feeling in that finger anymore. So he basically all the nerves out of that was shot.
There you go. Absolutely.
And that's something to consider. Being Laker fans and Kobe homers, we're always going to have that, I guess, favoritism to Kobe. But when your trigger finger can't really trigger, that played a huge part in his shooting percentage the last probably 7 years of his career. And take it for what it's worth. The fact that he was able to do what he did with a broken trigger finger goes to show you how relentless he was and how amazing he was. So that's something to remember when you're sitting there going, well, he shot 44.9% from the field. Yeah. If you're looking at stats, that makes sense. But 7 finals appearances, 2 different dynasties, 5 championships, 20 years with the same team. He's the second greatest player that ever played. And you're not going to be able to put enough evidence down to make me veer off that. And your evidence isn't going to make any sense.
Before we head to the half-hour break, my friends, right here at Lakers History 101, I just wanted to go ahead and mention that my choice for the first choice as far as a game coming up that in Kobe lore is, to me, in my mind, one of the defining moments of his career was in the bright lights of Madison Square Garden. He absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it to have one of the greatest performances from an opposing player ever on the floor of Madison Square Garden. That was February 2nd, 2009. Just truly an amazing performance. 19 of 31 from the floor, 61 points, 20 from 20 from the free throw line. Something that to me is absolutely awesome, knowing that the Knicks fans, the MSG fans, the hate that they throw, the boos and all that, but you're hearing the shouts. Kobe turned them halfway through the game. Kobe had them chanting MVP, MVP, MVP. Kobe had them cheering for him more than the Knicks by the time it's said and done.
I got into it wasn't an argument because I kind of scaled back. I was at a bar and there was a Kobe hater at the bar saying that I kept saying New York Knicks were cheering for Kobe. New York Knicks fans know basketball, and he had a negative tone to him. And I knew if I had gone all the way, something would have happened at the stupidity of that. I have scaled back before, believe it or not. Parking lots, bars. That's only because I didn't want to mess up my watch. I remember one time I was in a parking lot. Some guy tried to act like he wanted to throw down. And I was like, I got out of the car. Then I said, shoot. Went back in my car. He started calling me the P word and all that. And I was like, yeah, have a good day. It's funny. His girl was, you could tell he'd done that before because his girl's like, come on, let's go. Anyways, yeah, I want, we talked a little bit about the Celtics today on our emails for, talking to people about pregame stuff. You can always, and this is for all Laker fans in here, you can always really, really stick it to a Celtic fan, really, every time by saying, we heard Kobe chants at the Garden. Mm-hmm. That never happened in LA for Paul Pierce, Bird, Parrish, McHale, KG. You never heard that. Kobe chants in Boston. You want more evidence how next level he was? In Boston, in Atlanta, in New York. Only Philly booed him. And the only reason why they booed him in Philly is because he whooped their ass the year before.
But
And
even they, on opportunities, because he was Philly born, or Philly raised, I should say.
They don't
Philly
consider
raised.
him a Philly kid. They consider him a...
They booed him when he won the MVP at the All-Star game in Philadelphia.
Yeah. They booed him because they're angry at themselves, their organization. Here's a kid that was breaking World Chamberlain records 10 minutes away from the spectrum. Yet, and again, you got to pick Allen Iverson 1 in 96 considering the time. But let's talk about this. I know I'm veering off here and there, but this was a good start to really some cool what ifs. If Jerry West was the GM of the Sixers, this is something I haven't even talked to you guys about. I wanted to do it on the show live. Who would Jerry West have drafted in 1996? Something to think about. That's a question Jerry needs to be asked.
What's also significant about that game, Gerald, is that it came at a time when they needed it the most. They were dealing with injuries. If I'm not mistaken, Andrew Bynum had just gone down with the knee injury. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Gerald, I think it was against Indiana. Well, double check. But yeah, they were dealing with injuries, and they went 6-0 on that East Coast road trip, Gerald. That's the last time the Lakers have gone undefeated on an East Coast swing.
He injured his knee in Memphis again, and then Kobe went nuts. Yeah, Kobe went nuts.
My bad.
I will tell you though, guys, the last day and the last time he was in Philadelphia, they were chanting his name at the end of the game. That I provided the video in the chat is for the students and for the class there. They did. So at the end of his career, yeah, you understand that it started with boos, and these are the same fans that actually throw snowballs at Santa Claus, but they actually did come around in his retirement tour in his final season, did come around to cheering Kobe, even in Philly. So that'll tell you right there. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Lakers History 101. It is our remembrance and honoring Kobe Bryant on Kobe Bryant Day right here for your Lakers Fast Break University. I want to go ahead and mention our first 4 have been taken care of. It's the first 4 monumental games we believe should be remembered in Kobe Bryant history. MagicMan, we turn to you for your number 2. What is your number 2 choice, which would be the number 5, our 5th game in remembrance of Kobe Bryant that helps you realize, that helped you just come to understand just how great he was?
Yeah, so Gerald, it's December 20th, 2005, one day after my birthday. I'm watching the Lakers against the Mavs, and Kobe Bryant just goes bananas, Gerald. Bananas. 62 points at the end of 3 quarters. He didn't step on the floor at all in the 4th. Finishes 33 minutes and 3 quarters, 62 points, 22 of 25 from the free throw line. Ironically or not, Gerald, in all 3 of those games, the Pacer game, the Blazer game, the MSG game, and the Mavs game, he has 31 shot attempts. Now, the shooting percentage isn't great for the Blazer game, but for the Knicks and the Mavs, he was just going off. I think he had, at that point, he had more free throws after the 3rd quarter than the Mavs did all game. It was a virtuoso performance, that particular one, because they needed it.
Do you think he would have gotten 100?
90.
Had he played
in that game? I think he would have
90.
broken 81. I think he would have broken 81.
I think he would have gotten 90.
The problem was he played. He played 12.
He only played 33
18
minutes.
minutes in the first half.
Yeah.
There's no way of knowing that. So when I extrapolated the points, if he had played all 48 minutes, I think his score would have been 92. Would have been 92 points.
It would have been close. It would have been really
He would have
close.
needed. He went.
I will say this, Gerald. I think he would have gotten to the free throw line about 40 times.
I think he would have gotten 90. I think
he went 26 of 48.
I agree with Joe.
No, I'm sorry, 24, 46 from the field.
Double check.
Somewhere around there.
I think 90 would have probably been my estimation of what he would have scored, but 100, just the fact that you would have been closing in on that territory.
The only way he scored 100.
Joe, he shot 18 of 31.
No, it's got to be more than that.
No, he was firing on all cylinders though from 3-point land. No, it was 18 of 31. He was 22 of 25 from the line. See.
Okay, and that's definitely a game worth remembering.
Yeah, he shot 4 for 10 from 3.
All right.
He was 28 of 46, 18 of 20 from the free throw line.
Which game are you looking at, Sean?
Yeah, which game are you looking at, Joe? Because I'm
looking at that game. I remember it was 28. I knew it was a 20 and 40. So he was 28
What score
and 46.
do you have in that game?
Hmm?
What score do you have in that game?
81. What do you mean, what score?
No. That's the 81-point game.
Yeah, that's the 81-point game, Joe. We're talking about the Mavs game.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got confused. Sorry. Yeah,
62.
He would have. Yeah, I'm sorry. I got confused, guys. I'm sorry.
It happens, brother. Don't be sorry. Don't you ever be sorry on this podcast. Don't you ever be sorry. Don't say that word again. I don't want to hear that word from you, Joe.
There you go, Joe Soro, 2T right there. But that's a great game. Absolutely. I think that he would have pushed 90. I really think that could have been a possibility. And like you said, MagicMan, had he gotten a chance to go to the free throw line, or could he have lived at the free throw line in that last quarter, 100 may not have been out of the possibility, but we'll never know. We'll never know. But again, the only thing that stopped him on defense was Phil Jackson sitting him down. So just like Dean Smith.
No, that's a fallacy. That's not true.
Well, who sat him down that fourth quarter?
No, Kobe sat down. Bishaw confirmed this. Bishaw said, Kobe said, we're up, over, what was it, 20 points at that point.
Okay, don't want to rub it in.
And he goes, come on, man, you're historic, this and that. And Phil was totally cool with it. He goes, I'll get more. I'll get 80 next time, or whatever it was.
And he did.
Yeah,
it was 95-61 after 3 quarters. The Lakers were up almost 30.
Kobe was 62-61 against the Mavs that after 3.
There you go.
Okay, so let's look at the numbers there, right? He played 36 minutes. No, wait, I'm sorry. I keep getting weird numbers here that pop up. You guys can converse.
Go ahead, Magic. You're on mute. There you go. You're off mute now. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I'll post the box score here, but yeah, he played 33 minutes.
33 minutes.
62 points. It's almost a minute, almost a point a minute. 2 points a minute.
If he had played
2 points a minute.
Yeah, 2 points a minute.
Okay, so hold on. 33, 62.
But the performance itself was one of the defining moments of his career. Let's just go ahead and sum it up all there, so we can go ahead and move on to the next one.
When you look at who he was playing against, that Mavs team was stacked.
Yes,
that was a stacked Mavs team, and he was up against probably the most prolific big man shooter who's ever played in the NBA. Dirk had 18 points that game, Gerald. 18 points, and he said he sat and he watched Kobe Bryant kill a team by himself. He couldn't believe what he was watching that game. And after that game, Dirk said, after he retired, obviously, looking back, that was when he realized Kobe Bryant was the greatest basketball player he would ever see with his own 2 eyes.
So we've got 5 down. We've got 3 left, my friends. It is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us as we remember Kobe Bryant and Kobe Bryant Day right here at Lakers History 101. Joe, you're next before I bring out Laker Knicks and my last great performances that we'd like to add to the list. So you've got number 6. What is number 6 on the list of great performances for Kobe Bryant you wish to have remembered?
This was Kobe's probably last. Obviously, the last game he ever played was what it was. But in terms of him being still in that mode of trying to win a championship, March 8th, 2013, against the Toronto Raptors, pretty much the last game that he tortured Toronto, which was, 8 or 9 games that he tortured them. The Lakers were down 10, and the Lakers were at a moment here where they had to win almost every game. And they ended up going into overtime, and he hit like 2 or 3 impossible shots. They ended up winning in overtime, 118-116. And I highly recommend you guys going on YouTube, March 8th, 2013, LA against Toronto at the Staples Center, and watch that game through highlights or through the actual game. And I remember calling my friend who's a Laker fan. I said, this is the greatest player I've ever seen. And I had watched Magic, the tail end of Magic, Jordan. But for some reason, that game, I had never said it like that before. I never said Kobe was the greatest player I've ever seen. But I'm watching that game, and I'm seeing these shots go in. And I know this guy's been in the league 17 years, and 5 championships, 7 finals appearances, records, all-time Laker, everything, a legend, and owns like everything. And I'm sitting there watching this guy play a game, play to the point where it looks like this guy hasn't won anything. He looks like Y.A. Tittle trying to win that championship, bloodied on his knees, right? And I don't know, just after that game, I just texted my friend. I said, this is the best player I've ever seen in my life. It's the greatest player I've ever seen in my life. And my friend said, I know. That's what he wrote back. Like, I got goosebumps. I still remember that text. I'm just like, I didn't know what to say. Accomplishments matter in sports. The thing that separates Tom Brady from Joe Montana and Dan Marino and John Elway is he was more accomplished, regardless of advantages of this and that. I get all that too. But the reality is, when you factor in pure talent and work ethic and determination and everything, how can you sit there with a straight face and say that this guy isn't the best ever if you had to pick him? I was never afraid that he would screw something up. I just never was. There's only really 2 guys that I ever saw do that. And it's a team sport. Circumstances matter. You know, I think it would have been a different thing. We've talked about this a few times. It's something I enjoy talking about because it puts things in perspective. If Kobe wins in 04 and 08, he's in that argument. He's in that argument without even an argument anymore. You can even say that he could be number 1. So accomplishments matter. And, you know, but in terms of pure talent, in terms of just what we saw for 20 years, what I saw for 20 years. And one of our peeps here asked, when did Kobe become a superstar? He became a superstar really his second year in the league, where he was a bench player who made the starting lineup in the greatest all-star game ever in 1998. That was when Kobe became a star. And he should have won 6th Man of the Year that year, by the way. That was a freaking... Kobe's been robbed of at least 2 MVPs. He has been robbed, arguably. That doesn't get talked about a lot, but me and Sean have talked about it. He got robbed of at least 1 Defensive Player of the Year award in the early 2000s. He got robbed of a 6th Man. Kobe should have a 6th Man award, a Defensive Player of the Year award. He should have 2 more MVPs. What does that do for his accomplishments too? And he should have had 2 more scoring titles. One, he kind of just gave it to Durant and said, I'm not playing the last game, which was pissed me off, by the way. I wanted him to get that just because. Why not? And the other was circumstances of trying to win championships and not caring, I guess. But yeah, what ifs. But that game was kind of the book closing on the. It reminds me of the last true meaningful game where he played like a god. Meaningful game, meaningful path to trying to win a championship, hitting shots that no man other than maybe Larry Bird could hit. And even Larry Bird, I don't think could have hit those shots because Kobe's athleticism is obviously night and day against Larry. Larry might have just shot over everybody. Kobe had to do a little bit of pizzazz and a little bit of bending to get around things, but that's part of why it was amazing too.
If I'm not mistaken, Joe, I believe DeMar DeRozan was guarding him on that last possession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he picked him up. Yeah, so the hometown LA guy just, man, how many times did Kobe break his heart?
Yeah, if it wasn't Kobe, it was LeBron, right?
This is true.
And
Very true indeed.
I actually don't like talking about Kobe a lot. It bothers me. This is like starting to bother me a little bit because I don't like that he's not here. It really bothers me. And it's one of those things where really that guy just
I think
it's a boiling anger that I just don't want to really think about. I might have said this in a show previous. Steven Van Zandt talks about James Gandolfini in a way where he says we used to miss each other. You know, he's going to New York, he's going to Florida, whatever, and then we'd catch up somewhere. And in his mind, it's the same thing. I'm just not catching him. And that's how he looks at it. And for me, when we talk about Kobe and statues and all this and seeing Vanessa and the kids, like I actually don't like seeing it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to look at it because then it's not just Kobe not being on TV. So it sucks. It really sucks. It really sucks he's not here because there was some things that are about to happen that we really got effed. We got effed really bad. And a lot of it involved his daughter. The WNBA would be different right now. Would be on an ascension that would be unprecedented. I was really, I was talking about it 4 months before he passed away. I was talking to him about it, but I'm like, dude, we got Gianna coming. We're going to be watching Gianna. We're going to be watching the WNBA draft, and we're going to be watching Gianna play every game. What the? Are you serious? Like, we were waiting for Kobe to have a boy. Forget the boy. You know, we got Gianna coming.
Oh, that's a great story.
And and that part is honestly the main reason why I get angry. I'm pissed off. We lost so much. And so many other people besides us. Like, we're nothing. Like, what did those girls lose?
Delta Bellies lost their mom and dad.
So somebody lost their mom, dad, and sibling. Somebody lost their mom and a sibling. It's for what? For what? For what? So that the 1,000th time this pilot flew through these conditions, the 1,001st time it wasn't a good idea. Life sucks. When people say life sucks, that's the part that sucks, not the economy and what Yahoo's in the office or who's getting arrested. Who cares about that?
Lodge cut short.
This is the part where life sucks because this is forever. There's always going to be some Yahoo idiot. There's always going to be some money issue. You can always make more money. You can always buy another house. You can always figure that stuff out. You can't fix this. And it's really, 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 it really bothers me. It really does, and it sucks. And I'm sorry I had to put a damper on this, but it's how I feel, and I don't know. I can't. I have to let it out at this point.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Lakers History 101. It is Professor Joe Soro and Professor Sean Grice, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening as we honor Kobe on Kobe Bryant Day. But before we head on out, we still got 2 more left and got less than 10 minutes to do it. So I want to go ahead and run those quickly down. Of course, Laker Nick, great professor, esteemed colleague of ours, mentioned to us that the other game that came to mind for him as far as one of the great performances for Kobe, one of the things that he actually was able to go ahead and witness was January 7th of 2003, the Lakers versus the Sonics. And Darren, our esteemed audio follower, and just thank you so much for doing so. Again, I want to go ahead and mention Lakers versus Sonics, January 7, 2003. Kobe made an unprecedented, as Nick said, 12 of 18 three-pointers. In parentheses, he put up perhaps laying the blueprint for what was to come. 16 of 18 shooting overall, 45 points total, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. But it was a vintage performance from him, and definitely something that we didn't think was possible because we didn't think that Kobe was going to be that good at times of a three-point shooter. And statistically, over the course of his career, he was not. But Sean and Joe, that night, he pulled it out. And when he started hitting, he couldn't stop.
Yeah, no, it was, he was just, there was something about him on a heater, Gerald. It's almost like watching somebody at a blackjack table in Vegas when he would make a couple threes and then he would just keep on shooting because he just felt like, I'm hot. I'm going to keep going here until somebody stops me or it doesn't go in. That game specifically, incredible because if I'm not mistaken, I think weren't they coming off a back-to-back? I think that was a back. Yeah, I think it was back-to-back, and he still had the energy and the vigor to just launch these shots. And I'm sure his legs were tired. I'm sure he was tired, but it just didn't matter. Didn't matter. It was part of the Mamba mentality. Just black out and keep going. That was
because they played the Suns the night before.
Good. Not a bad memory. I couldn't remember the team, but Gerald, incredible. Like that was probably the greatest shooting performance from the outside that we've seen him have. He was just on. And I think he just had an extra vim that night for whatever reason. Off a back-to-back, you would think, even for a superstar, back-to-back is pretty tiring and pretty tedious. But, I mean, he just put it all behind him, Gerald. Let's go.
And then absolutely the last game I want to mention, it's probably the most defining game of his career. And Joe said this, you could easily point to a playoff game or a finals game that he played well in that, like against Denver or, in the Western Conference Finals. There was absolutely 2009 when he really commanded the scene, but also as well, you could go and point to his performances against Boston, against Orlando. You talk about all the other series that was in as far as playoffs or finals, but it is about the regular season. What do you do on an every game basis? And obviously you cannot talk about Kobe great performances unless you talk about, as Joe was talking about, those performances in January, February, and March. And obviously the biggest one is January 22nd of 2006, 81 points. We've talked about it on this show, how historic it is, the most scored by anyone outside of Wilt against the Toronto Raptors. They had nothing that they could throw against him that worked. Jalen Rose still is probably eating it to this day as far as how it is probably still people walking by and telling him he's been toasted time and time again. Mo Peterson and the whole 9 yards. But Joe, when he scored 81 that day, you've already mentioned your thoughts and memories from that day, but brief us in. We have less than 5 minutes left, but please let us know just quickly your thoughts on that 81-point game because it was truly a work of art.
81 points. I'll I fell asleep the first quarter and a half because the Steelers just went to the Super Bowl, right? I had drank a half a case of Coronas with my friend. Couldn't eat practically the whole week. I was so nervous. Finally was able to eat after they whooped Denver. Then the alcohol hit me right after the game because I had been in such nervousness. So I started eating, soaked up the alcohol, was still like, honey, you need to drive me home because I'm going to like rest. Get home, lay on the couch, fall asleep. And at that time, for like 10, 12 years, I don't miss Laker games. I didn't miss Laker games. So I got up, kind of like when you get up like on a surprise, and then I looked, I go, oh, damn it. Clicked on the TV, and, Kobe's doing his normal thing. After the first half, they're down, though, but he's got 26 points. And I'm like, he's probably going to drop 40 points, and maybe we'll win. I don't know. All of a sudden, you start seeing the third quarter develop, and I'm going, what the hell? 12, 14, 17, 20, 22, 25? Scored 30 points in the third, and they're still down. I'm like, holy crap. He's got 56, but this time they're not leading, which means he's going to play the fourth. The rest is history. And I'm sitting there going, this was at the beginning of social media. There wasn't really a lot of it, but you started seeing stuff on TV. We're like, are you guys watching this? Like a bunch of athletes, football players, basketball. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? And I'm calling my friends who are Laker. I'm like, are you guys, is this really happening? Like, what the hell? And then the game ends. He scores 81. They win. Sports Center. It's still on YouTube. You can look. You can plug it in. Kobe fronted Championship Sunday. They didn't talk about Seattle winning and the Steelers winning to start the show. They were talking about Kobe dropping 81. A regular season game on a team that was battling to make the playoffs, led Sports Center on, and this was when Sports Center was good, not the toilet water that it is now. It was, that was the clincher. I was like, oh my God, that's how great this son of a gun is. So the other question was, Kobe was anointed in his second year in the league, but that game made him a legend, icon, one of the greats of all time.
Sean, real quickly, we only got about a couple minutes left. Your thoughts on the 81-point game before we let out class for this evening?
Actually, Gerald, everybody's kind of summed it up for me. I guess the only footnote to add about that game would be a funny anecdote by Tim Duncan. After practice, Duncan was in the training room, and he happened to see the chyron of the scores at the bottom on ESPN, and he looked up and he said, "Does that really say Kobe scored 81 points? That's got to be a misprint. It's got to be a typo." And he didn't believe it until he read the newspaper the next morning. Gerald saw the box score, and yeah, Kobe scored 81 points. And Tim Duncan said, "I didn't believe it until I saw it."
There you go, indeed. The 8 shining, momentous performances by Kobe Bryant. If you have any thoughts on Kobe Bryant and his career, any more games that really stand out to you, please go ahead, mention it down below on YouTube, Facebook, social media, Twitch, wherever you get your podcasts. You can go ahead and shout it out to us as well on social media, Lakers Fast Break or LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Thank you, class. You've been awesome, especially in the chat. The best Lakers chat room, the best Lakers classroom that's out there is the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate all your thoughts and memories of Kobe Bryant on Kobe Bryant Day. Remember, next year, February 8th, 2024, they'll be unveiling a statue right there near the crypto.com arena. We will be covering it all for you right there for you, but also wanted to mention tomorrow, we're bringing on Empire Jeff TV. That's going to be a great conversation. He's been a great part of our chat here, and we're looking forward to going ahead and have him live on the show tomorrow. So definitely looking forward to that. Once again, we truly want to honor the great Kobe Bryant. Once again, thank you so much also as well for listening, watching, wherever you catch us. Big shout out again to Darren, who's our first audio subscriber. If you want to subscribe to us on audio, just go ahead and do so off of our Spotify platform. And I'll tell you what, from all of us, Professor Joe Soro and Professor Sean Grice, Professor Laker Nick, it's Gerald Glassford, the Dean of Lakers Fast Break University Studies. We thank you so much for watching, listening, and class is now dismissed.